Why won't we start with this basic phrase, process of ongoing improvement, and analyze it a little bit? Let's do it. POOGI, process of ongoing improvement. You are here at this point. But now time goes by, and what is process of ongoing improvement? As time proceeds, the performance of the company should go only in one direction, up. That's the meaning of process of ongoing improvement. But wait a second. Under this definition, have you noticed two very different curves can reside? This definition of process of ongoing improvement does not define one thing, but two different, very different things. It defines both the red and the green curves. Have you noticed the green curve still, as time goes by, the performance are going up? But there is a conceptual difference between the red and the green. One is concave, one is convex. Now with your hand on your heart, if you have to choose between the two, which one of the two, the green or the red, looks more realistic to you? The truth. The green or the red, what is more realistic? I can hear the answer coming from everywhere. The green, of course. Is it? Is the green sufficient? Let's see. First of all, what's the real difference between the green and the red? Look, if I'm looking on a period of time, let's say from here to here, the performance have gone up. If I'm looking at the same period of time again, the performance continued to go up, but the magnitude that it went up was smaller than before. That's what leads to the green curve. If I'm looking on the red, if I'm looking on one period of time, performance went up. If I'm looking again on the second period, the performance went up, but by much more. Simply, the difference between the red and the green is, as time goes by, does the rate of improvement goes up or down? In the red, it goes up. In the green, it goes down. The green is more realistic. Now let me ask you something. Did you ever seen or heard about a company that grows, let's say, by 3% a year? 1 year after the other, they grow by 3%. Did you ever seen such a company? Of course. Many companies are doing it. Which curve? If we will put the performance of that company on a graph, which curve will we see, the green or the red? 3% per year. But have you noticed, since 3% of 1 million is less than 3% of 2 million, and 3% of 2 million is less than 3% of 3 million, this means that the improvement goes up every year in absolute terms, which means such a company is on the red curve. And if I'm looking at the total economy of the world, what do I see? The red or the green? Of course the red. In the last 10 years, 50 years, 200 years, it's the red. So where is this perception that the green is more realistic? Why do we want the green so much? Because we know one thing. If we go like crazy, like the red, the chances of breaking our heads is mammoth. The risk is much too high. Basically, these two curves represent two things that we want. One is growth, the red. The other one is even more important, or definitely not less important, stability. Do you recall what we said about that companies which were built to last, or as I call them, ever-flourishing company? The clock is everywhere. Stability is number one. And because of it, you can enable the red. Did they, by the way, these companies, what about their performance? Is it on the red? Let me show you a graph that appears in this book, right at the beginning of this book. And this is a graph that describes the value of their shares Can you look on it? This is the number one companies. This is the number two companies. The market is this. The red curve, for sure. But in these companies, the stability in terms of what we said about the culture, in terms of what we said about the clock, is much higher than here. In other words, if we want to build an ever-flourishing company, we need both the stability and the growth. It's not to choose between them. It's either you have them both or you don't have any one of them. But for that, we have to understand better the overall strategy of a company that strives to reach an ever-flourishing status. The company that wants that this performance will become bigger and bigger in terms of the red and the green, not just for the next 5 years, not just for the next 10 years, but much after the people who have done it, the people who have put it in place, have retired.